You're stressing me out. I saw you just sit down. I was like, where is he? The show's about to start.
I was reading.
What are you reading, Scott?
It's a little note my son made. So Julie and I went to class today to be a mystery reader.
Oh.
I'm assuming this is houses and kids. So what are you up to, young lady? Your son's playing assassin at Olathe East and just disrupting the public.
I hate it. I hate that game so much. I didn't realize people were playing it back in the day. Like, I did a TikTok about it, and so many people started commenting on it and talking about it. If you don't know what Assassins is, it's about like you take water, pew pew, and you get each other out until you're down to one. Usually senior class play it. My son's playing it with the theater department, but it's been wild. He never gets up early. I have to yell at him every day to get out of bed. But the one day he wanted to get his target, he was up at 6 a.m. and at the kid's house by 6:30 waiting for him. I'm like, so you say you can do this without all the drama. I see.
What sound do the pistols make?
Pew pew. You can't say those words online. I spend way too much time on social media that I know which word you can and can't. How you been?
BANG.
No, let's move on.
Wow, interesting. There's a fun fact. Well,
AI's gotten so good it can even read live, so we just don't want to take any chances.
You know who doesn't take chances?
Who?
Bestway International. They carry your goods just like your family's goods. They can transport it anywhere.
You know who you remind me of? When we talk about our sponsor, there's so many. Okay, first of all, Bestway International is awesome, and they do so many awesome things, and there's so many great ways to talk about it. But do you know who you remind me of when we talk about our sponsor?
Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights.
We're like Jake from State Farm.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Puts it into the stuff. Did you see when Caitlin Clark was coming off? The first person she talked to was Jake from State Farm right after she got drafted.
She's smart. She's just picking up dollars,
Part of her, yeah.
I don't get paid $10,000 to go fly out and speak like Aaron Fulk does. I'm the person that goes, you know what? If that guy can host a show, I can be a guest on
it. Exactly. We do love Bestway International though, but I need them to buy you like some sort of outfit that people just recognize when they see it, like the Jake from State Farm. You want to hear my Jake from State Farm fun facts?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first original Jake from State Farm, because remember how they just switched it up on us and we didn't know, but it was very obvious. Okay, the first original Jake from State Farm was actually an employee that won a contest to be on a commercial. He had no interest in being like this household name that everyone knew. So he finally went and said, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. That's when they hired a professional actor. And that actor actually went to Webster University, which is one of the main theater programs in the Midwest. It's in St. Louis.
That is a really good mind-blowing fact. You obviously being in your field with Lily and James Creative, one of the local firms did the Sonic banter back when it was new. And I think that, I don't know if those actors are local. One of our guests that's going to be on the show, I don't know if she's too young to even seen those commercials, but pioneer.
We're old people at this point. Okay, if you are watching the show, please tell us if you're watching from LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. If you're watching the replay, let us know you watched the replay. We hear a lot of people say, I wish I would have caught that live. I had a question. So let us know. We have a pretty exciting panel today. We do want to thank, we've got a couple guests, and one of them stepped in last minute. We had a last minute cancellation. So thank you, Kayla, for stepping in last minute. I'm super excited to learn both about Kayla and Edùardo. So we're going to bring them in 1 second. But you want to tell everyone what Bestway International does real quick, and then we can start on the panel?
So they are in the freight business. Also, if it's complicated and it's overseas, you got to talk to Bestway International. So if you are shipping something from Europe or Asia, it is incredibly complicated and you need to make sure it's secure and correct. So Bestway International, good Kansas City, great Kansas City company.
I have a friend that is stationed in Korea right now. I don't know why this reminded me, but she finally has all of her stuff set up so that we can FaceTime. Sometimes like she can FaceTime her friends here and stuff. And it's so crazy. It'll be like nighttime here and bright lights right there, right? Like it's almost exact opposite. It's so wild. So yes, Bestway International can help you because that stuff gets very difficult. Okay, let's bring in our guest and say hello to us. I can see there's a lot of people watching. I don't know why we don't.
We will read it. If you write it, we will read it.
Within reason. Okay, here we go. All right, our first guest today, we're going to bring them all in and start right in. First guest today, stepping up to the plate for us last minute. We cannot say thank you enough, Miss Kayla. And our next guest to join Kayla is Edùardo. I apologize for the music.
It's great music.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. We are so excited. You guys ready to get going? All right, here we go. Kayla, who are you? Let's do it. Kayla, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
So I am Kayla Leverich. I moved out to Kansas City, just about 4 years ago now, just under, in June of 2020, right in the throes of COVID, right out of college. So I'd actually moved home during the pandemic and then was looking for a job and moved out here for my last role doing medical device sales and sales support. And about 8 months ago, I transitioned to a new account management role with my current company, ISG Technology, based out of Overland Park. And we do a lot of IT managed services. So a lot of cybersecurity, data protection, a lot of outsourced IT functions.
So prior to that, would you graduate your degree in, and what field did you get in, and why did you make a decision to go into the role you're in today?
Absolutely. So I was studying and I got my undergraduate in human biology with a concentration in human health and disease. I wasn't really sure which direction I wanted to take my career. Actually, when I went into school, I was pre-med, so I thought I was going to take the doctor's route. Ended up graduating a little bit early, so I decided I was going to get my toes wet with a career. And so that actually led me to find out about medical device sales and sales support, where I could be an active part of an operating room without really having to do that continued education that a lot of people within healthcare do have to do. So in that role, I was supporting our neuronavigational division. So I was in and out of the operating room at least 5 days a week, if not 6 or 7, supporting multiple surgeons and working cross-divisionally. So my main surgeon, we did a lot of ENT procedures, but the navigation unit itself was designed for brain and spine surgery. So I was the person who would go in and teach the surgeons how to use the device. A lot of the surgeons I worked with were already pretty well versed in it, but the newer residents and fellows and all of that hadn't really had their hands on the machine quite yet. So I was really an active part of getting them up to speed on how to use those devices. And I apologize, I just had the light shut off beneath me or behind me.
He's got to go back there.
There you go.
Oh!
How do you make that transition into your new role?
So I was really ready for a change of pace. I was ready for something new. I'm big on, always trying to learn something new and growing. So actually I had a friend who had gone to college with me back in Indiana who moved out here. She worked for an IT firm, and she told me a story about how some medical devices had gotten hacked and ransomware, and their hackers had actually threatened to shut off thousands of pacemakers if they didn't pay the ransom. And so I was like, well, shoot, being that I had the background I did, that could have easily happened in the position I was in. And so I figured that would be a pretty natural and smooth transition. So now I'm trying to develop my book of business towards healthcare accounts to help in that way.
That's a good transition. Awesome. That first part is the reason I never looked at medical sales. I think I would be the person that passed out the second I saw blood. So
Really?
A lot of friends. Oh, yeah. I not like my kids and stuff I could deal with, but other people, no way. So
I don't think I can do it either.
Yeah, right. No. All right, Edward. And I'd like to say that's the reason I'm not a doctor, but I think there's like the math class I didn't pass and some of that stuff too. All right, Edùardo, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having me here, guys. I really appreciate this. It's a great show. My name is Edùardo Platon. I'm the founder of Diverse Minds KC. We're going to cover a little bit about my new company in a second. But I was born in Brazil 46 years ago. I don't know if I look 46 or maybe if I look 50 or maybe 30, but some people say that I stay, quite young.
Yeah.
I'm a book writer. I enjoy writing books. I'm an executive and also a founder. The reason I'm in Kansas City is that I lived in St. Louis before. I lived in Springfield, Missouri before. And my family got to a point in time that we need to make a change and find a new community. And then we decided to explore KC, and we really found an amazing group of people. We live in the Overland Park area. My family love it here. My daughter love it here. My kiddo love it here. And we are really building something quite special. I have done my fair share of international traveling, as you guys can see. My native language is Portuguese.
That's not a Springfield, Missouri accent?
No, that's not the Springfield. No, you could see that. But anyway, I really see that after a lot of traveling, I got to visit more than 50 countries in my business career as an executive. And after traveling 35 US states, we decided to make AC home. And that's why we're here.
So when you talked a little bit about being an author, what are the books you've written, and do you speak a lot?
Well, I have some of them here. I published 4 books. This was the first one. It's called Entrepreneurship, Starting New Businesses. It's in Portuguese, so sorry, guys. But it's how to start businesses. And that was my journey. When we write the first book, it's how always sharing our story, how we got to that point. But I really try to help young kids to really start thinking about starting a business instead of working for older organizations as a career option. The second book was this one called, is Nicolas Maduro's The New Here Long. So it's a book, it's a political book comparing a North American politician to a South American politician. The third book was about the COVID, right? COVID really changed our life big time. And that was the experience going through COVID and how that affected everything, business. And the last one was published last year. That's called Sustainable Freedom, and how we are really putting together 2 different concepts, sustainability and freedom, to really develop the planet resources.
Are they all in Portuguese?
2 of them are in English and 2 in Portuguese. So you can buy on Amazon.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We're excited to learn more. Look, Miss Lacey Miller is here. Hi, Lacey. How are you? Thanks for jumping on. Remember to let us know if you're watching Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, or if you're watching the replay. All right, Scott, are you ready for your question?
That's all I got. It takes a while to memorize. Kayla, what was the most pivotal point in your career? You're on mute.
That was my bad. I'm going to start your time over. That was my bad because we were getting some echo. And I
what was the most pivotal point in your career?
Thank you. So I would say that there was probably 2 major pivots in my career, but both are summed up with the same concept of being a strategic leap of faith. So when I was graduating college, as I mentioned, I had moved back home with my parents. If you think about college kids, not many of them probably want to be back home with their parents, living under the same roof as their family members. So I was applying to jobs left and right. I had to have submitted close to 1,000 resumes before I started hearing back, wow. Especially being that, people just weren't hiring during that time like they normally were. So I had actually gotten in touch with a chemical analytical sales role, and I had received an offer, and I was fully intending on taking the position. I was just ready to take whatever was thrown my way. I was ready to get to work and start my career. However, right after I had received that offer, I had an interview offer from my top medical device company that I had been looking at. And so I was kind of put between this rock and a hard place of, a firm offer or just like an introduction to an interview process. I ended up deciding to take that leap of faith and going all in on the interview process, because looking back, had I not, I probably would have been kicking myself for it and, losing sleep at night, not being able to have that confidence that I really gave it my all and went all in. And then same deal when I transitioned from my last career to my current career. I did have to take quite a bit of a base salary cut, but just in good faith that, it would pay off and it would come back to me and, really use my strengths more than my last job did.
What is an unexpected curveball that you've had in this line of work? Like, what are the problems you didn't think you'd be solving that you're solving?
I would say that I didn't realize how many companies lacked the dedicated internal IT staff to keep up with their demands. Most of the people that I talk to are IT directors, IT managers, and they are really the sole contact for the company for anything IT related. And so when I talk to them, they're working like 12-hour days and on call 24/7 for any issues that do arise. And they are just putting out fires left and right. So that's something I didn't really anticipate was going to be as big of a problem as what it is today.
What is an industry that makes you the most curious?
I would have to say healthcare. That's my powerhouse. I love healthcare, anything related to health and wellness, and just being that it is a very targeted industry nowadays, being that there's so much sensitive information within healthcare institutions. Hackers, they really like to go where the money is, and in America, healthcare is a business too. And it seems like those healthcare attacks are really on the rise right now, unfortunately.
These hackers are going to get us that universal health care after all.
I hope so.
All right, Edùardo, you ready, Scott?
So in between writing 4 books and politics, what is the most pivotal point in your career?
Well, I love that question. It really make me think about a lot of different possibilities out there. But today, Scott, I really want to highlight when I made the transition from political life to community development and starting my own ventures. That really made me really think deep to see how we truly, promote change, right? I'm a big believer that change happens when people, the average person, the average citizen, the average business owner, start something and keep that consistency. If we can do that long enough, we are changing the world, right? We don't have necessarily to be in a political office to do that. And
Amen.
Politics became so complicated lately, right? It's crazy. I don't take sides anymore. I be a liberal, I be a conservative. I don't take sides. I think I see myself as somebody who really want to work with everybody. And that really made me an impression on me, because a lot of people, when they're there, they're not really caring for the average citizen. So a lot of people, they are not there for the right reasons. And I think that people, when they take the oath and they decided to be part of the political space, they have to do the right thing. So I think it's easier nowadays, considering everything that is happening, to really make a change and make a difference by starting your own business. That's the way I see it.
Do you think maybe you don't take a side? I feel the same way, because eventually you talk to an expert and you totally realize it's completely different. Why do you not choose to take a side on things? Because I agree with you. It's so complicated. You don't know until you get the full story. So why don't you take a side?
Well, I think that this is not only an American problem, right? I mean, the politics of extremes, it's happening in the Americas, in South America, in Europe. I mean, it's everywhere. And I think sometimes we go to a meeting, or maybe you go to talk to somebody with the best of the intentions, at hand. But maybe you say something, and that thing that you said to somebody is going to completely change the nature of that meeting. And I think we lost the ability, of compromising, right? I mean, we don't have to agree 100%. We can agree 80%, and we can disagree on the 20%, and we can keep talking, right? So I think that's what is missing. People are just shutting down. They're not talking. They're not communicating. And I think that while we are fighting, somebody else is winning, right? That's what we like to say. So I think it's much better to really avoid some issues in order to really get something done.
What country do you think has the very best political structure in the whole world?
Well, I think 40 of them. I don't know.
Whoa,
Maybe
40 countries. Jeez.
Maybe, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough question. I want to say this because I don't want to get terrible, and I have 7 minutes. I think we live in one of them. I really appreciate democracy, and I think we're in the right place.
Answering that like a true politician would.
You can tell by your face it was like, no, it's a tough question. So,
it is a tough question, but because he was a politician, I wanted to see how you answer.
It is a tough question.
Okay. Kayla, how are your 20? I cannot believe that it is May tomorrow. How are you doing on your 2024 goals, and how can the Kansas City community help you?
And the lights turned on right as the timer started. I love that. 2024 goals are going great, personally and professionally. A big professional goal of myself was to get out and get our brand awareness more out there in the Kansas City market here. ISG Technology, we have a few locations all spread out throughout this Midwest belt, and we have a good presence in our other markets. But this Kansas City market was really lacking, not really lacking, but it was underdeveloped compared to our other markets. And being that it's our headquartered office, that was one of our priorities when I was first hired on. So being able to go out to these different networking events and, shake hands, get to meet some of these really successful people in Kansas City has been great. And just being able to develop that brand awareness as well as my personal brand awareness, getting to know people on more of a personal level. I think that is a big differentiator as Kansas City as a whole, is that people are so much more inclined to sit down and actually get to know people on a human level rather than just keep it surface level and get to know each other professionally rather than professionally and personally.
So what's a bread and butter client for you that you like to work with? And then what are some of your personal goals?
So health, like I said, I'm super interested in healthcare. So anything health related, being, for example, smaller practices, smaller surgery centers. We can't really work with the big dogs like KUMC or Advent Health just because we don't have that dedicated internal staff. We can provide some solutions, but that's where we'd have to have that conversation. But really our target audience is anywhere from about 75 employees on the lower end up to 750 employees up on the higher end. And we can scale up and down on that. But that is really where we try to keep our employee count within. And then also, I touched on this a little bit earlier, people who are lacking that internal IT staff. So if you have one or a handful of guys just running around who are overworked and trying to just play catch up with their responsibilities, that's where we can really step in and add our value. Some of my personal goals, on top of being healthcare oriented, I'm also very health oriented. So I'm a big advocate for, the gym, fitness, staying healthy, eating right. And I think that Kansas City as a whole does a great job of that. I think that the city as a whole is very health oriented.
What about do you work with some of the more holistic stuff like med spas and stuff like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If they have an IT need, then we are here to help. And I would absolutely love to get to know more about a company like that. Very interested in that kind of stuff. And physical therapy offices, chiropractic offices. The only tricky part of that is some of those offices can be a bit on the smaller side. And we can sometimes help them out. It just really depends on what they're looking for and what we can provide them with.
So I'll make an introduction when we get off of here, but I don't know if you know about the health consortiums where they have these big, have you been to those yet?
I haven't, but I've heard great things.
Okay, I'll introduce you to the founder of them after we get off.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. She's been on the show a couple times, Dr. Robin. So, all right, Edùardo, how are your 2024 goals going, and how can the Kansas City community help you?
That's the best question, right? I just want to say this. First of all, you guys do an incredible job giving visibility to people like myself and my esteemed colleague here. And it's so exciting to be here. I just want to say this. As a founder of a tech company called Diverse Minds KC, and you can find us online, diverseminds.kc.com. We are really here to help new Americans, immigrants, and refugees. We have around 150,000 of us living in Kansas City. Immigration, it's a hot potato. You guys know, election year, everybody's talking about immigration. And we are building a solution to really assimilate and integrate new Americans much faster. So instead of taking 5 to 10 years for people to integrate to society, we are cutting that time in half by using a lot of emerging tech, and we can truly customize that experience. So we are building some LLMs, chatbots, to really help new Americans to learn new skills faster, to understand that there is a roadmap they have to play in order to expedite the process. And I would love to connect with resettlement agencies in the Kansas City metro area. And right now, we are going through our first capital raise, right? So I'm talking to a lot of investors. I had a meeting with an investor earlier today, VC firms. So I'm looking for that kind of funding that can give Diverse Minds KC a runway of 18 to 24 months. And if we do that, we're going to be able to really build something quite special. Just for the record, the company was founded when I was doing my UMKC Tech Venture Studio class. So that was born in a university environment. We are connected to the Kansas City AI Club. We are also connected to the Keystone Innovation Center. We are working with a board of 8 people. We have 6 people on our team. I mean, it's exciting. It's growing. We are so thirsty to build something that can really build KC phase 1, and then we can really scale that. We are talking about $50 million new Americans, immigrants, and refugees in this country. So I think we have an issue, we have a big problem, and I don't think, again, that immigration is going anywhere. So I think it's a good time to start thinking outside the box and consider doing something different so we can really start, fixing the problem. So I think that this is a worth problem, right? This is a worth problem to dedicate time and energy and money. And if we do that right, we can really build something quite special right here in Kansas City. That's the way I see it.
Do you know Zeke Wanganga?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just curious. I feel like you similar missions, and so are you guys collaborating at all?
Yeah, we talk. I think he has a special focus on transportation for now, and we are more we are building a chatbot to really get people to make the transition a little bit faster. But I do see us working together in the future.
I saw him at the Drake concert a few weeks ago.
Wonderful.
That was the last time I saw him. Okay, well, first of all, make sure that you connect with both Edùardo and Kayla. They're both right here on LinkedIn. Thank you guys so incredibly much for coming on, Kayla. Thank you for stepping up last minute. Edùardo, thank you for coming on here. And I learned a lot from both of you guys today. Scott, thank you so much for being the best co-host ever. And thank you so much to Bestway International. We will be here same time, same time, same day next week. Maybe my air conditioning will be on by then because I am burning up. I just can't decide if it's the right time. But we will be here, and we hope to see all you guys back soon. Have a great week.